The Galactic Council archive held records of countless worlds, but Earth's entry had a warning tag older than most civilizations. Zorith, a Zalari scholar with translucent skin and obsidian eyes, hovered over the holographic display. Category 7 Deathworld. The file read, the highest classification of planetary danger. He traced the data in silence. Hurricanes that could flatten entire cities, volcanic eruptions that blotted out the sun, predators with teeth longer than an alien's arm. Yet, for all its lethality, Earth was not empty. Humans live there. They aren't just alive, Zorith muttered, his voice trembling. They thrive. The council chamber behind him buzzed with nervous whispers. Tall insectoid Krylon rubbed their chitinous claws together. Feather-crested seraphines folded their wings tight. None of them could understand how a soft-skinned, fragile-boned species had survived in an environment that looked like an execution ground designed by nature itself. Counselor Varen, whose crystalline form pulsed dimly, addressed the room. They drink water that corrodes our alloys. They breathe air rich with toxins that kill us in moments. Their world cycles through freezing and burning seasons. Apex predators stalk every environment, and still humans sit at the top. Another counselor, a reptilian elder named Kareth, hissed softly. It's worse than that. Look at their history. They didn't just survive Earth. They mastered it. They burned forests, reshaped rivers, and tamed beasts that would kill any of us on sight. They make tools from rock, then metals, then atoms. They turned their death world into a cradle. Zorith pulled up visual records. Humans building fires in snowstorms, fishing in turbulent oceans, climbing mountains where the air itself was poison. His mandibles clicked in disbelief as the final clips played. Humans launching themselves into space on towers of fire, laughing as they left their hellish world behind. The Seraphine envoy Vera broke the silence. No species from a death world should be allowed to roam freely. It defies every law of survival, yet they do it with ease. Look at their bodies, thin skin, soft organs. They are vulnerable in ways we cannot imagine. But they have something else, something more dangerous. Zorith knew what she meant. He replayed a recording from the humans' digital archives. A woman's voice spoke as explosions thundered behind her. We will rebuild. We will endure. We always have. The room went silent. How? Asked the Krylon official, claws twitching. How can they face constant death and still smile? Do they not understand fear? They understand it, Varen replied, his crystalline core glowing bright. They just refuse to bow to it. That is what makes them dangerous. The council began arguing, voices overlapping. Some demanded isolation protocols. Earth must remain quarantined. Others warned that such a species could never be contained forever. Kareth slammed his clawed hand against the table. We must agree. If they leave that planet, they will reshape the galaxy as they did their own world. They don't just adapt, they conquer hardship. Their entire evolution is a testament to defiance. Zorith switched the display to Earth's biosphere. Their plants produce toxins. Their insects spread plagues. Even their soil holds lethal bacteria. On any other planet, colonization would be impossible. Yet these beings farm, build cities, and even domesticate creatures that could kill them in an instant. Counselor Vera spread her wings uneasily, and look at their psychology. They run toward danger. They risk themselves for each other. They fight for ideas, concepts we abandon as primitive. Love, loyalty, vengeance, honor, emotions that would doom any rational species. But for humans, they are power. Varen darkened his glow. They have a saying, translated roughly, what does not kill us makes us stronger. For them, survival is not enough. They grow through suffering. That is what terrifies me most. Zorith stared at the last part of the file. Spaceflight achieved. Colonization attempts ongoing. They're leaving, he whispered. The chamber stilled. Every being there understood the implications. A species forged in the harshest crucible ever recorded. Shaped by fire, ice, predators, and disease, was stepping into the stars. A younger counselor, her crystalline core flickering nervously, finally spoke. Perhaps they will be peaceful. Perhaps their suffering has made them kind. Kareth's has cut through the room. Kind, yes. But kindness from a Deathworlder is not weakness. It is choice. If provoked, that kindness will vanish, and what remains will be unstoppable. The file ended with one final clip. A human child stood in a thunderstorm, laughing as rain drenched her. Lightning split the sky, yet she did not run. She simply raised her arms to the heavens. Fearless. Zorth turned off the display. If they could conquer Earth, they can conquer anything. Pray they never see reason to fight us. The council sat in silence, united for once in pure, unspoken fear. Zorth could not forget the images he had seen, so he dove deeper into human archives. Every new discovery only made the enigma worse. They were not just survivors, they were innovators. Records showed humans thriving in deserts, carving homes into cliffs where no other species could endure. Others lived in frozen tundras, wearing the skins of beasts they had slain, their fires burning against the endless cold. Some crossed entire oceans in fragile vessels, guided only by stars, never knowing if land lay ahead. He examined their biology. Their bones were light, yet strong enough to endure falls that would shatter the limbs of most species. They could bleed heavily and still recover. They healed from wounds that would cripple others for life. And unlike nearly every sentient species, they could adapt their bodies to brutal changes, building muscle, tolerating toxins, even resisting diseases through sheer exposure. But it was their minds that unsettled him most. Humans felt deeply. They formed bonds not just with their own kind, but with animals, even machines. Their loyalty extended to abstract ideas, beliefs they would die for. It made them unpredictable, dangerous in ways that no strategic model could count for. One particular recording stood out. A human soldier, trapped under rubble, calmly instructed others to save his team first. "I'll hold on," he said, grinning despite the blood on his face. "Get them out." He died minutes later, but his sacrifice saved dozens. Zorth played the clip again. No alien species, he knew, would willingly make such a choice. It was illogical, wasteful. Yet humanity thrived precisely because of such acts. "Do you see now?" Varen asked quietly, stepping into the chamber. "They are not strong because of their world. They are strong because they endured together. Alone, they are fragile. United, they are unbreakable." Zorth nodded slowly. "And yet they laugh through it all." "Yes," Varen said. "They laugh after pain. They tell stories of triumph born from tragedy. They look at death not as an ending, but as a challenge. How does one fight a species that believes losing only makes them stronger?" The more Zorth studied, the more terrified the implications became. Humans were not the most intelligent species, nor the fastest, nor the strongest, but they were the most determined. Where other civilizations adapted to safe, predictable environments, humans had evolved by constantly battling chaos. They invented tools to hunt predators far stronger than themselves. They created weapons from stone, then iron, then fire, then electricity. They reached the skies on wings of metal and, impossibly, left their planet entirely. Yet in all this progress, there was something else: compassion. They cared for their weak. They healed their sick. They even rescued wounded predators, creatures that once hunted them. To the Council, this mercy was incomprehensible. It made no sense for a species so hardened by danger to show such kindness. Zorth remembered a phrase he had seen etched on an ancient human monument. "The measure of greatness is not in power, but in how it is used." That paradox unsettled him most of all, because if humans chose to dominate, nothing would stop them, and if they chose to protect, entire galaxies might willingly follow. Vera entered the chamber then, her feathers slicked close in tension. "The first reports have arrived," she said softly. "They've launched colonies. Not probes, not temporary stations. Actual settlements." Zorth's chest tightened. "On which worlds?" Vera's beak clicked once in hesitation. "On the worlds we could never tame. The frozen moons, the volcanic planets. Places we abandoned as unlivable." Varen's crystalline glow dimmed to a fearful pulse. "They are not just leaving Earth. They are seeking new death worlds and calling them home." Zora stared at the display. The humans were doing what no other species dared, going where nature itself warned them away. And worse, they were smiling as they did it. The room fell silent. Every counselor understood that the galaxy's balance was shifting. The Deathworlders were coming, not as conquerors, yet, but as explorers who would thrive where others perished. They will change everything, Varen murmured. No, Zora said, his voice quiet but certain. They already have. The first official contact came when the Council, desperate to prevent what they feared, sent an envoy to Earth. The delegation consisted of representatives from 6 species, each chosen for diplomacy rather than combat. Their vessel descended through Earth's turbulent atmosphere, buffeted by winds and lightning that made the crew shiver in terror. Yet when they emerged, the humans waiting for them on the landing field stood casually under the storm, jackets flapping in the wind, grinning as if the chaos around them was a mere inconvenience. The envoy leader, a dignified Seraphine named Kale, stepped forward with deliberate calm. Humans, he began through the translator device, we come with grave concerns. Your world is unique. It is dangerous. You must understand that leaving it carries risk for all life beyond. A tall man with steady eyes, Captain Elias Ward, answered with a nod. We appreciate your concern, but risk is something we're good at. It's how we've always lived. Kale faltered. He expected defiance, not this calm, confident acceptance. You call our planet a death world, Elias continued. For us, it's just home. We survive it all. Storms, predators, disasters. If we can live there, we can live anywhere. But we're not here to conquer. We just want to see what's out there. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. Their data had painted humans as reckless predators. Yet these people stood with relaxed smiles and open hands. Then disaster struck. A swarm of raiders, outlaw species that preyed on trade routes, swept into the region, weapons blazing. The envoy ship shuddered under the first blast, alarms wailing. Kale's feathers puffed in panic. We must flee. Elias didn't even flinch. Get inside. We'll handle this. The humans moved with terrifying efficiency. Civilians ran to safety while soldiers and emergency crews surged into action. Within minutes, makeshift barricades formed, weapons primed, and defensive drones swarmed the sky. They fought like a single organism, no hesitation, no fear. Kale could only watch as the fragile-looking humans fought with ferocity the raiders had clearly not expected. A woman with a burn across her cheek dragged an alien child to cover before returning to the fight. A man, bleeding from his arm, laughed as he lobbed an improvised explosive into a raider craft, disabling it midair. Within half an hour, the attackers fled, leaving wreckage behind. The humans didn't celebrate. They immediately shifted to rescue operations, pulling survivors from debris, tending to alien wounded before their own. Kale finally found his voice. Why? Why risk yourself for us? Elias looked at him as if the answer was obvious. Because you were in danger. That's reason enough. The Seraphine envoy stared at him, struggling to understand. These were the beings the galaxy feared. Fragile, yes, but unyielding, united, and impossibly brave. He realized then that the Council's worst fears were justified. Humans weren't terrifying because they were violent. They were terrifying because they cared, and that made them unstoppable. When the last fires were extinguished and the wounded secured, Elias stood before Kale again. We're leaving Earth, he said simply, but we don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in it with everyone else. We'd rather build and destroy. Kale's feathers trembled. And if someone tries to stop you? Elias's calm expression didn't change. Then we'll do what we've always done. We'll survive. And we'll win. For the first time, Kale understood the truth. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their ferocity. It was their absolute refusal to be broken. By nature, by circumstance, or by any enemy foolish enough to challenge them. Word of the encounter spread faster than any fleet could travel. Across the stars, species whispered the same name with a mix of awe and dread. Humans. Footage of the battle circulated everywhere. The frail-looking beings fighting through fire and debris, protecting aliens who had come to restrain them. For many, it was the first undeniable proof that the Deathworlders were not just rumors or legends. The Council convened again in a chamber heavy with unease. Zorath watched as countless reports flashed across the holoscreens. Human colonies had sprung up on worlds others had deemed impossible. Frozen planets where machines froze solid in hours. Moons racked by volcanic eruptions. Acidic swamps that corroded even the best alloys. In every case, the humans not only survived but built thriving settlements. They aren't just expanding, Kareth hissed, his scaled hands clenching. They're flourishing where we have failed for millennia. And they're not attacking, Varen replied softly. Every message they send speaks of alliance, trade, and cooperation. They are not conquerors. Yet still, entire empires fear them. Zorith felt the same contradiction twisting in his chest. Humanity had proven their terrifying capability for violence, but they were not using it for domination. Instead, they offered assistance, technology exchanges, rescue missions on worlds others considered lost. In one report, humans had saved an entire mining colony abandoned after a toxic gas leak. They wore protective suits, risked their lives, and evacuated every last worker. A Seraphine ambassador in the chamber finally broke the silence. Do you not see what they are doing? They are winning loyalty. Entire star systems already call them allies. They inspire those we once oppressed. They succeed where we could not. And they do it not by force, but by example. The crystalline counselor Varen dimmed his glow and thought, this is worse than conquest. If they were tyrants, we could unite against them. But who can fight beings who risk their lives for strangers? Zora thought a human child laughing in a thunderstorm, arms raised as lightning tore the sky. That same defiance burned now across the galaxy. Within decades, humanity was everywhere. They terraformed hostile moons, built trade hubs in dead sectors, and founded research stations in voids others dared not approach. And everywhere they went, they carried their paradox. Kindness with steel beneath it. Kara stood slowly. We feared their strength, but their true power is choice. They choose to protect. But if that choice changes, Varen finished the thought grimly, then nothing will stop them. The final report arrived that day. A fleet belonging to a notorious warlord had attacked a neutral colony. Humans responded first, not with overwhelming force, but with swift, calculated precision. They destroyed the fleet in hours, then rebuilt the colony at their own expense. As the chamber watched, Elias Ward himself spoke through the broadcast. We didn't ask for fear. We didn't ask for power. We just wanted to survive. But survival taught us something. We can endure anything. If you stand with us, we'll build something better. But if you try to break us, you'll fail. Earth made sure of that. The council sat in stunned silence. No one argued. No one dared. Zorith finally whispered the truth aloud. They called Earth a Deathworld. The humans called a home. And now they carry that home with them everywhere they go. Outside the chamber, news networks played images of human settlers on distant planets. Laughing, working, thriving in places no other life could endure. To the galaxy, they were no longer myths. They were the Deathworlders. And the stars would never be the same.